Fnatic was the most hated esport team of the early 2010s. You could look at any forum and see for yourself. Think about the OLOFBOOST, the cheating allegations, JW. At one point they were the most hated and the best team in the world at the same time. But how did it get to this point? In this video I want to look back at Fnatic in this era of Counter-Strike, which is now 12 years ago. Holy moly, I'm old. And with some added distance, ask myself the question, was it all justified or were we too mean? Let's start with the first incident, the no handshake at DreamHack Bucharest 2013, where Fnatic won against NIP and then refused to give GetRight a handshake and insulted the other team. Truly unsportsmanship behavior. When I first made this video I was thinking, yeah, other teams do trash talk too, but this was on a different level. First of all, it was after the game, so there's really no advantage of trash talk and it was straight up insults. There's a difference between shouting good save to the enemies during a match,
hey, like we just witnessed there,
and calling someone a whining bitch after the game. To cut Fnatic some slack, we don't really know what happened before. Maybe NIP really did behave badly as well. And let's also remember that it was very early in their careers. I think we can all remember moments where we insulted the enemy team or our head was really in the game. But of course this was pro play and the expectations of behavior are higher here. Flusha is also not really participating in the shenanigans, even though that doesn't make him innocent. Flusha cheating allegations. For anyone who's not aware, pretty much since the VAC ban wave of 2014, where players like Kukli and SF were banned, people have accused Flusha of cheating as well. And I think that's all. It's an accusation. People put way too much emphasis on this point. There were always players who have been accused of cheating. If there's no confirmation, it means nothing. A lot of players just look like they are cheating. Just think of Robs, who was accused multiple times of cheating, and the only reason they stopped is because FACEIT invited him to play at their HQ and he was determined to be just crack at the game, lacking charisma. I think this is actually one of the biggest points. A lot of the Fnatic players were lacking a certain level of charisma.
The map is called OLOFBOOST for a reason.
There are a lot of players right now that do stuff on a similar level but get away with it because they're more likable and quite honestly more visually gifted than some of the Fnatic players. This might just seem like I'm being really mean to Fnatic right now, but I think it's an important point. The constant bullying Fnatic and especially players like JW received were in part because of these facts. I think most of us remember when a certain player cam was shown to people, they wrote about a certain animal in the chat. Let me just say that I'm not innocent of this myself. And the reason why it felt okay is because Fnatic was the villain. People wanted to hate, so they reassured themselves that the person they are hating is bad. I think a lot of people work this way. Bullying is okay when the person you are bullying deserves it, for whatever reason you see as a fair reason. The cringe video. Right after the OLOFBOOST controversy, which I will get into shortly, Fnatic released the cringe video promoting their players. And while a lot of players will argue this is another reason why Fnatic is such a hated team, I think it's a moot point. Cringe and gaming go hand in hand. It's more about what happened before that made people hate this video. The boost. Probably one of the most controversial things to ever happen in Counter-Strike esport history. For anyone who's not ancient like me, the OLOFBOOST happened 11 years ago during the quarterfinal of the DreamHack Winter 2014 Major. During the third map, Fnatic used a never before seen 3-man boost, in which one of the players was standing on a pixel edge. It was very strong and helped Fnatic win the map, which otherwise they would have most likely lost. Fnatic ended up winning the third map and immediately afterwards the controversy starts. LDLC filed a complaint to the tournament organizers DreamHack and claimed the boost to be against the rules. After some review, DreamHack decided that the map should be replayed from the start of the half, so basically before Fnatic used the OLOFBOOST. Fnatic complained about that decision and an hour later the tournament organizers decided that the pixel walk doesn't break the rules, but the texture bug did, in which you were able to see through a texture. This decision was also based on the fact that LDLC did the same thing in the first half. On the day that the map should be replayed, Fnatic started to receive a lot of hate. Around 3 PM, Fnatic decided to forfeit the game. It was later also criticized that Fnatic should have reported the boost to Valve, which asked teams before to send in any bugs with the new map. A user later also claimed that Fnatic asked him to remove a video of the boost. If there's any merit to his claim is unclear. There were a lot of different opinions on this controversy over the years, but in my humble opinion, the story of the OLOFBOOST is way more about the failure of management than the Fnatic players being evil. First of all, DreamHack communicated very poorly to the teams before and during the tournament. They also changed their decision on the issue in an hour time frame. And mind you that all these decisions were made at 2 and 3 in the morning, exactly when the players from LDLC were sleeping. They were told in the morning that they're going to replay the third map. Maybe Fnatic should have communicated the boost to Valve, but the truth is LDLC also used the boost on Overpass, and it's not about saying that because another team did it, it's okay. It is to show that it isn't very obvious that this is something that should be reported. On the documentary on the topic, Fnatic players also claimed that right after the match, they felt very bad about the whole situation and thought about surrendering the match right there. But their management pushed them not to do that. Whether this is true, we will probably never know. When Fnatic finally did decide to forfeit the match the next day, even though the tournament organizers decided that the map should be replayed, it made it seem way more like that they were giving in to the hate of the fans and they only did it because of the backlash they received. I think they should have forfeited that match on the same day, which to a certain degree is difficult given the unclear rules provided by DreamHack, or they should have played the third map again. The tournament organizer decided that this was the fair and right way to do it. They decided to fall for what the mob wanted. And I think Fnatic hoped that that would help improve their image and their reputation, but it had the opposite effect. They were even more hated now. In a way, they admitted their guilt, and I think they learned from it. From their perspective, they gave in for what the community wanted and still got punished. They learned that it didn't matter what they did, they would still get trashed. And I believe this is the moment where something changes in the mindset of the Fnatic players. At that moment they accepted their villain position, not making any efforts to improve their image. You can kind of see it in the interviews afterwards. They see no hope of improving their image, and to a certain degree they were right. The community had their villain, and honestly there was something interesting about that. The best team in the world was also the most hated one. It made for interesting storylines at the expense of the mental health of the Fnatic players. The Fnatic players were not innocent of misbehavior, but they did not deserve the hate they received. There were a lot of things that were out of their control and went unfortunately that led them to this point.